Hello, my name is Alyssa Keene, and I am a sophomore pre-nursing student at St. Ambrose University. With the help of Dr. Teresi and Dr. Finn, I conducted my Honors 401 research thesis on water quality characteristics and their potential impacts on human health. This research will be interdisciplinary in both biology and communications. The necessity for humans to consume water is well-known information. In fact, Maslow's hierarchy of needs identifies water, along with food, warmth, and rest, as a basic physiological need. This necessity of water can cause one to wonder more about different water sources and water quality characteristics. These exact questions came into my mind because of personal experiences. I work as a certified nursing assistant at an Alzheimer's assisted living facility in my hometown. I have personally seen the effect that hydration has on the residents that I assist, and this has motivated the scope of this research project. When the individual is actively consuming water, I notice that they have more energy, decreased risk for some health complications, and even occasionally a sharper mindset. This experience has strengthened my attitude on the importance of water for all, and it has inspired this research. There are a number of possible water sources that an individual can utilize to remain hydrated. This research experiment will focus on the treated versus untreated water specifically. It is important for all individuals to have access to treated water, as the treatment process rids and reduces the concentration of contaminants. One scholarly source from Vespucci explained that under the Safe Drinking Water Act, all treated water is regularly monitored and any contaminant risk is reported quickly to the general public. Without the proper treatment guided from the EPA, our water may contain pesticides, fertilizers, waste, and numerous other contaminants. At certain concentrations, these contaminants can lead to physiological impacts. The possible effects of sulfate, hydrogen sulfide, and coliform bacteria will be introduced as they were significant within this research. Sulfate, which is a chemical compound, may be present within our water sources. However, the World Health Organization states that at concentrations greater than 600 milligrams per liter, negative consequences like dehydration, catharsis, enzyme denaturation, unconsciousness, and respiratory paralysis may occur. For this reason, the EPA recommends that water sources do not have a concentration greater than 250 milligrams per liter. Hydrogen sulfide is another chemical compound that may be present within our water sources. At low concentrations, the mucosal lining of the stomach can become irritated. This can lead to stomach pain, nausea, and vomiting, and it is even fatal at high concentrations. For this reason, the EPA again makes a recommendation that water sources ought to have a concentration of 100 milligrams per liter or less. Coliform bacteria is a biological factor that can be present within water sources as well. It is most commonly seen in fecally polluted water, especially in developing countries. Diarrhea is a very common side effect to coliform bacteria ingestion, which increases the risk of dehydration and malnutrition for an individual. A scholarly source from Gruber supports this by stating that waterborne illness is the leading cause of infant mortality. These three biological factors discussed serve as examples of how contaminants in our water can lead to negative physiological effects for our bodies. While this research is focused on treated versus untreated water sources, a discussion about bottled water ought to be made. This water source is one that is very popular among the general public, as consumers perceive bottled water to be higher in quality than tap sources. It has a perception of having the highest water quality and being rid of contaminants, like the ones just discussed. This perception is often portrayed to individuals through advertisements and endorsements. One scholarly source from Vespucci revealed that a sample found 2/5 of individuals prefer the taste of bottled water to tap water, and 1/3 of people perceive bottled water as safer for consumption. Because of these common perceptions, a desire to consume bottled water can be seen. This same source also notes that a person may choose to drink bottled water due to their culture, previous experiences, or location of where they live. For example, a person who is from a country with poor water quality is more likely to consume bottled water. The advertisements placed on this slide hint at how individuals form their perceptions of bottled water. By being advertised often as pure, untouched, and clear, people form perceptions that bottled water is more beneficial and safer for their health than tap water. However, a scholarly source from Michael Latham notes that there was no superior difference found between bottled and tap water. This reveals to us that tap water is just as beneficial to consume as bottled. Regardless of the type of treated water a person chooses for their consumption, having a strong understanding of treated water's importance is a necessity for all. As mentioned previously, this research will also include a communications discipline. To communicate the importance of water quality characteristics and their potential impacts, Monroe's motivated sequence will be utilized to establish attention, need, satisfaction, visualization, and action for this goal. Let's start with attention. Like Maslow's hierarchy of needs emphasizes, most people are aware that they need to consume water. Greiger shows that this is often communicated to people through their health education courses. His survey found that 93% of high school students understand the importance of water consumption before, during, and after exercise. This reveals the understood need for water consumption by the general public. However, while individuals often do have this understanding, their knowledge on water quality implications may be limited. For example, a scholarly source from Chuan Tang found that thousands of Iowans were using private drinking water polluted with nitrate and coliform bacteria. Many people utilize private well water, so it is especially important that they are aware of the negative implications that can come from certain biological factors. Both of these sources raise attention for this research goal. Thinking back to the noticeable differences with sulfate, hydrogen sulfide, and coliform bacteria demonstrate the need for this research and discussion. By all individuals understanding the importance of water quality characteristics, they can make water choices that will positively affect their health and reduce the risk for potential impacts to their bodies. The last three of Monroe's motivated sequence will be later discussed. Therefore, this research will measure water quality characteristics by analyzing treated and untreated water sources through samples on or near the campus of St. Ambrose University. Then, using existing literature, conclusions will be made on how these factors influence human health. The importance of this information being communicated will be emphasized throughout as well. This map shows where water samples were taken for this research project. The blue dots represent treated sources. Duck Creek and Mississippi River were utilized for this experiment. The red dots represent the treated sources of Cosgrove Hall, Davis Hall, the Health Sciences Campus, and the Alumni House. The yellow dots represent treated sources that were tested also for coliform bacteria, lead, and pesticide presence. These included the Wellness and Recreation Center and Vanderveer Botanical Park. Fewer tests were available for these variables, so not every source was able to be tested for coliform bacteria, lead, and pesticide presence. A total of 8 60 milliliter samples were collected from these locations within 48 hours of one another. For consistency, all of the treated water sources were collected from the women's restroom sink in the bathroom nearest to the entrance of the building. The images on the slide are present to represent the treated water samples that were taken from both new and old locations to accurately analyze all treated water. These pictures compared Davis's Hall's old bathroom to the brand new one in the Wellness and Recreation Center. The 60 milliliter samples were poured into separate 10 milliliter cuvettes. Using the ITS water quality test kit, all of the following variables shown on the screen were analyzed for their concentration or presence in the sources. The test includes chemical additives or test strips that change color to allow for numerical results to be gathered. You can see this in the picture I have of me with all of the samples and test kits. All numerical information was gathered into a table for analysis. Treated and untreated water sources were compared for statistical differences using one-way ANOVA analysis. A p-value of 0.05 or less indicated that there was a strong statistical difference for the variable tested between the treated and untreated source. Of all the variables tested with the kit, only 3 showed statistical differences. The one-way ANOVA analysis for sulfate gave a p-value of 0.0007, revealing a statistical difference between the treated and untreated sources for sulfate presence. These graph bars compare the average concentrations present and show error bars for possible uncertainty. This makes it clear that the concentration of sulfate was higher in untreated sources versus treated ones. The p-value for hydrogen sulfate was 0.0388, revealing that there was a statistical difference again present between the treated and untreated sources in hydrogen sulfide concentration. The bar graph reveals that there was no hydrogen sulfide present in the treated water sources, while there was a concentration found in the untreated sources. Error bars were again included to account for uncertainty with the data. The hydrogen sulfide test was unique compared to sulfate, as the color of the samples was used to determine the concentration of hydrogen sulfide present. The darker the brown the vial indicated a greater amount of hydrogen sulfide. You can see this in the picture on the right of the screen. The test to indicate coliform bacteria presence was different from the tests of the other 2 variables discussed. A chemical additive caused the sample to turn a purple color if coliform bacteria was present and remain yellow if not. The Wellness and Recreation Center, Vanderveer Park, Mississippi River, and Duck Creek were tested for coliform bacteria presence, and all of the untreated sources tested positive. This can be seen in the image of the samples on the slide. While both sulfate and hydrogen sulfide were well below the EPA recommendations, a statistical difference was still present between the treated and untreated sources tested. Additionally, coliform bacteria was only present in the untreated water sources tested. This is important as it shows 3 exemplary factors that are important for the general public to be aware of. Overall, there was a greater concentration of these variables in untreated water sources than treated ones. This reveals the necessity of drinking treated water and ensuring water quality consistently. Additionally, having our water treated is important. We can see through this research that the treatment process is impactful at ridding and reducing contaminants. A scholarly source from Gruber emphasizes this by explaining that industrialized nations have been able to rid waterborne disease through our important treatment process. As emphasized throughout this presentation, it is crucial that the general public understand water quality characteristics and their implications. This is especially important for those who utilize private well water, as the scholarly source discussing Iowa previously mentioned. By having this understanding, individuals will be more likely to ensure water quality, leading to greater health benefits. Additionally, individuals will be able to take their knowledge on the topic and communicate it to others. This will then benefit and help more people. By analyzing the real-world implications of water quality assurance and knowledge, both satisfaction and visualization were achieved. Lastly, action can be examined. As already mentioned, people can utilize this information to benefit themselves and communicate it to others. A scholarly source presented supporting information on how action can be taken. A study recognized the need for improved water treatment in South Sudan. For this reason, a survey was utilized to ask individuals about their access to clean water and if they had experienced any side effects of consuming untreated water recently. The results revealed a strong need for more knowledge on and access to clean water for the people of South Sudan. Now, action can be taken by these humanitarian groups to educate and help the individuals living there. In conclusion, this research experiment was successful at identifying biological factors and elements present in treated and untreated water sources. The conclusion can be made that higher concentrations of these factors were present in untreated water sources, which emphasizes the importance of knowledge on water quality and its physiological impacts for all. I would like to take a moment to make a few concluding acknowledgments. Thank you to Dr. Teresi for serving as my primary advisor and secondary author of this research project. He provided guidance through the biology discipline of the project. Also, thank you to Dr. Fenn for serving as my secondary advisor and guiding me with the communications discipline. I am very grateful to have worked with both of you. Also, thank you to the Honors Program and Biology Department Hauber Endowed Chair Fund for their financial support of this research project. My contact information is listed here along with some of my key figures. Please feel free to reach out to me with any questions that you have, and I will be happy to address them for you. Finally, these are the sources that I referenced throughout this research project. I hope you have an increased knowledge on water quality characteristics and their potential impacts on human health through this interdisciplinary research project. Additionally, I urge you to take action with this information and convey to others its importance as expressed throughout the project. Be grateful for your tap water the next time you take a drink, as its treatment process keeps you safe from many biological factors that may be present within untreated water sources. Thank you for your time and have a great day.